listening to Hungry for More, an Epicurean's Dilemma, and I'm your host, Trish Close. Meg Rulli on the podcast today. She's a winemaker and wine educator. She is the only woman, actually the only human behind Flipturn Cellars and Barrel Dork. When she started learning about wine, she wanted to share all of the dorkness with everybody else, and so she started Barrel Dork. I met Meg at the Indie Wine Mixer in Southern Oregon a year ago. And a year ago, I said, you should be on my podcast. And she was like, yeah, totally. And we just now made it happen. So better late than never, I always say. Meg's journey is super interesting, very cool. She grew up in upstate New York. When I asked if wine was important growing up, like, was it on the table with dinner? No, she said, not at all. She studied abroad in Barcelona. She's a smarty pants business person. And she was discovering all of these delicious table wines just showing up at dinner. And she said that's really where she got hooked. She was tasting and enjoying all of these incredible wines. Fast forward, she and her husband decide to leave their corporate job and travel for a year. Total butt clench. But they're visiting and traveling to all of these incredible wine regions around the world. This is only solidifying her love, right? They set up camp in Portland, Oregon. Well, now she's close to the Willamette, and it's just something she can't shake. So she starts Flipturn Cellars. And when I say woman made and it's all Meg, it's all Meg. She's finding these grapes, interesting varietals. She's driving, picking them up, driving them back to a custom crush facility in Portland and making these incredible wines. And everything is up to her. All of the decisions, all of the wines that she wants to make. And she says she wants to stay small. She wants to stay scrappy. And she wants to keep doing exactly what she wants. No one else really has a say in this. And I love it. So much freedom, so much independence, and 100% intent. Here's Meg Rulli. There was a little event called the Indie Wine Mixer last year. Yeah. And that's where we met. And I think we both said, finally, we're meeting in person because I've been following you and doing all the things. Hi, Meg Rulli.
Hello, Trish. How you doing?
I'm so good. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Winemaker, wine educator. It's funny. In my head, you are Meg Flipturn.
Yeah. That's it just depends on who you chat with. I feel like mostly everyone in Portland knows me as Meg of Flipturn, and then
Your
outside
last name to
Portland,
me is Flipturn, though. It's just Meg Flipturn.
Yeah, Meg Flipturn. I like that. Yeah.
Winemaker, wine educator, Flipturn Cellars. Also, Barrel Dork. I need to hear about Barrel Dork. Is this something new or has this been happening?
No, actually, Barrel Dork started before Flipturn. And I know. So I started my wine education brand when I was going through the WSET studies, and it was really more of a Instagram that I created for friends and family who were curious about learning about wine and wanted information in an unpretentious manner. And I was learning all of this information during WSET. And for me, I found that it was a really good way for me to educate the people in my circle about all things wine, but also it helped reinforce what I was learning in class with the Wine and Spirit Archive here in Portland. And so I started just putting videos out on social media, and then from there started a newsletter. And over time, the newsletter got some subscribers and people started really digging the content and really wanting to learn more about wine from a very basic level all the way up to just obscure varietals and regions and the winemaking process. And so it's kind of just been growing and ever since. And so it predates winemaking though.
Well, do you ever feel like, just based on that, you have something to offer, right? And I'm just thinking about myself here. I'm a videographer. I do MC work. You have this thing to offer, this talent, this knowledge. Yeah. And you put it out there. And if listeners agree with me, drop a comment and say, yeah, me too. But you have this knowledge and you put it out there, and then people are like, give me more. And you're like, wait, for real?
Yeah. Yep.
Were you experiencing that with like this with Barrel Dork?
Oh yeah, and I have a hard time. So I studied entrepreneurship in college. That was my minor. And for me, I'm always looking at how I can build something, even though I probably should just keep it a hobby, but I'm always just like, what can I do with this? And
Yeah.
so when people started asking for more, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to start a newsletter and I'm going to make a thing of this and I'm going to start creating some online workshops and some mini courses. And then, of course, got into winemaking. And so here I am now juggling three different business ventures between my day job, Flipturn, and Barrel Dork. And so it's a lot, but my husband's like, just keep a hobby and just keep it like, I don't know, just get into quilting and like don't feel the need to turn it into this,
You're like,
business.
no, this is
Yeah.
going to be a new business venture.
Yeah.
Okay, before I want to get to your roots, but before we do, I have to say, on your website, I love woman made and flavor forward. That's so good. Chef's kiss. So good.
Very cheesy, but
No,
that's brand with me. So
not at all. No, I love it. I loved it so much. I wrote it down. Where are you from originally?
upstate New York, Ithaca, where Cornell University is,
Yeah.
and the Finger Lakes, famous wine region that I actually need to go back to, and I haven't been since I got really interested in wine.
You're an East Coaster.
Sure am. Did I
Wow.
give off the East Coast vibe?
No, not at all. You're on your website in a flannel. I'm like, oh, Pacific Northwest.
I bought so many flannel shirts when I moved to Portland. I'm not gonna lie.
It happens. It happens
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
best of us. So Ithaca, this is really weird. The only reference because you said that and I was like, oh, that's an American Pie. She talks about like going up to Ithaca.
That is a throwback, but yeah, and it was Ithaca University, which
Yeah.
doesn't even exist. So
Right.
there's Ithaca College.
So what was it like growing up there?
It was great, actually. I mean, despite the fact that there were 9-month winters and we got all the lake effects, and it basically was living in Minnesota with
Hmm.
how cold it was, how much snow we got, but I loved it. And I spent most of my childhood outdoors, and I worked for my dad, who was a forester at the time. So I was outside. So it makes sense that I ended up in the Pacific Northwest where
Totally.
there's just so much, and also in winemaking, which is very, physical,
Mhm.
demanding job, and it all makes sense. But no, I mean, growing up in upstate New York was wonderful, and I do want to go back because I haven't been back to upstate New York since I was about 25, and way before I started getting interested in wine. And the Finger Lakes just
Mhm.
was it the Wine Enthusiast just rated them the best AVA of the US, and so
Yeah.
I need to go back, but.
Yeah. So I've never been to upstate New York. I have this vision. It's very green.
Yep,
And
a
it's
lot of rain, snow, all the above.
yeah, so lots of weather seasons, right? Except for
Oh
the
yeah.
9 months of winter, but yeah, you do get some
That's right.
seasons.
We get like a little blip of summer in there, so but it's wonderful.
Was wine important? Like was wine ever on the table growing up?
No,
Hmm.
so I don't really think I ever, I mean, I maybe had a few sips here and there at Thanksgiving when
Sure.
probably a jug wine was at the table. I mean, my family was mostly drinking, crap beer growing up, just thinking of our large family gatherings. But no, I didn't start drinking wine or even really know anything about wine until study abroad when I was 20 years old in Barcelona. So,
Barcelona. What did you go to school to study?
entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
And then
Okay.
global business management, so international affairs, stuff like that. But yeah.
So you wanted to be a business woman.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can you tell? I mean, now with my three just random
Hmm.
businesses and trying to juggle it all, one woman show.
Yeah,
So
it's in your blood. So this was what year did you go to Barcelona? Meaning like what year in school?
yeah, so that was my, let's see, the start of my junior year in
Okay.
college.
Okay.
So,
Was this something I had the opportunity to go to San Sebastian in college, but I decided to do an
oh,
internship in a newsroom instead. Long story. Anyways,
I mean, but it primed you for what you do now.
yeah,
So no
y-
regrets, I
good
guess.
decision. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
A good decision. Was this something you were obviously excited about doing, anxious about?
all of the above.
Mhm.
So I picked Barcelona, because I was really curious about studying in Spain, but they also had a really great international business school that was in right outside Barcelona. And I was really nervous because, with the exception of, I think, one or two other students from my school, I was one of the only Americans in the program, and it was a big international
Wow.
program. So I went not knowing anyone, and I was in an apartment in downtown Barcelona with, I think there was like three apartments that were all on the same floor. So it ended up being about 15 students. And I was the only person who spoke English on the entire floor because there was some German students there, there were French students, there were some other students from Spain. And so I was just way out of my element there. And that was my first time really abroad ever. And I mean, yeah, it was just a fire hose of
Yeah.
culture and information and just being on my own for the first time. So it was terrifying, but I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I had wonderful experience.
Did all of y'all figure out a way to communicate with each other?
A lot of hand gestures, charades. And then, yeah, I mean, it was, and actually everyone spoke really excellent English. And
Right.
that's the thing when you go to Europe and you're just like, wow, but I'm on like day 800 of Duolingo and I still cannot hold a conversation. Like it's bad,
Yeah.
but you know, yeah.
Hey, I think yeah, we're missing something. There's these, I meet people all the time who grew up in a Spanish speaking household and they speak like perfect Spanish and perfect English. And I'm so jealous.
Absolutely. Well, it's because everyone else learns so young. And
Hmm.
I think my first Spanish class I ever took was when I was 15.
Right.
And it was just one semester of it. And
Right.
then never did any more language until Barcelona and
Yeah.
then just really just got thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
But
No, for sure. So you're in Barcelona, you're studying, you're doing all the things college kid and an American college kid's doing in Barcelona, including drinking and learning about wine. That's just on the
wine.
table, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and I think and that's I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I wasn't nerding out on wine like I do now, but it was just kind of a part of everyday life there.
Hmm.
And I think it it lent itself into the winemaker and the wine educator that I am now, where I really try to focus on the pairing aspect of wine and making wine that's food friendly. And that was because when I was in Barcelona, it was always served alongside food.
Yeah.
And it was never like you're drinking this on your own. It was like you're having this with this small tapas dish or just really any meal. And there was always that pairing aspect in mind. And that's how I learned about wine. So that's really kind of my ethos behind everything I do in the wine industry now.
Because that's really, if we think about it, that's where all of this began. I mean, very rarely, especially in Europe, are you looking at people just opening a bottle of wine and it's always have a little food or have a little snack
Mhm.
or with dinner or lunch, whatever.
And so much of the cuisine of those cultures are dictated around the wine
Yep.
regions and what's grown there and vice versa. And so it's just I find it to be the most enriching avenue into
Mhm.
wine is through the lens of food and those pairing possibilities.
Yeah. It's weird to me now, especially cooking a meal and having this beautiful spread on the table if there's not a bottle of wine on the table too.
Yeah. We're in the right industry.
This feels
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, is it safe to say you just said you were kind of nerding out on wine on this trip, not to the extent that you are now, but you're hooked, right? You're just like bottle after bottle. You're just like, wow, this is incredible.
I
There was
really got spoiled.
yeah, there was something about it that stuck for you.
Yeah. And then I get back to the States and, I'm on a college budget. And so it's $2 chuck. And man, this isn't as good as the wine I was having for, €3 a bottle in
Yeah.
Spain. But I eventually got back to drinking plenty of Spanish wine. So
So where did this wine journey for you then begin? Because I read that you were backpacking. You like did some backpacking, but like where do you feel like this journey started for you?
Yeah, so let's see if I can try to abbreviate this story a bit.
Please don't. No abbreviations. You give me
So
all the goods.
yeah, so my husband and I, we were both in our corporate jobs for about 5 years and both pretty miserable in our corporate jobs. I loved my company, but I was traveling Monday through Friday, and so living out of my suitcase.
Where were
And
you at this time? Sorry, where were you?
oh, so my husband and I were living in Miami at the time because
Whoa.
he was working for Wells Fargo
Okay.
in their commercial banking division, and he got positioned down there to start one of their new offices. And so I was traveling for my job. I was a business management consultant, so I had freedom to really move anywhere.
Hmm.
And so we moved down to Miami from the Northeast and lived there for a couple of years. And then it was kind of then when we were like, we really don't like what we're doing in our 9 to 5s. And so we decided to quit our jobs pretty much the same exact day. And we are like, we're going to travel. And we decided we were going to take, a year off and travel the world. And so we did 3 months in South America, about 4 or 5 months in Europe, hit up Australia, did Southeast Asia, and took the whole year. But in doing that, we were traveling to some really amazing regions around the world and wine regions, especially. I mean, we were, in Argentina and touring Mendoza, and then we popped over to Europe, and there was, of course, all the good, like Umbria, all the amazing spots in Europe. And I think that's where kind of my curiosity started
Mm.
kicking into gear for all things wine. And then when we got back to the US, shortly after getting back here, we were like, well, we got to figure out where we want to live, and we don't have our jobs anymore, so we can really start from scratch. And we started thinking about all the different cities we wanted to move to, and Portland kind of hit all of those check boxes of what we were looking for. We're like, it's a small city. It's very green. It's right near the mountains, the ocean. It has everything that we want in a city. And so packed our bags, moved to Portland without really knowing anyone or
Wow.
having any roots here. And I think when we moved to Portland, that was when I really started getting interested in wine, because just the proximity to the Willamette Valley, the gorge, going to these amazing restaurants and seeing the restaurant scene in Portland and how
Mhm.
much wine influences those experiences, and just starting to get immersed in the scene here. And then, this was several years of just this passion of mine growing and growing and just wanting to learn more about wine and be a part of everything that was going on here in Oregon, and started taking the WSET curriculum. And that's when I started my videos on Instagram and educating other folks. And then through the WSET curriculum, I made it through level 3 of the program. And I just remember we were in the classroom, and I just kept being really curious about the winemaking side of the industry. And
Mm.
in WSET, you don't really get you don't get a ton of knowledge around the winemaking. It's more you're just looking at diagrams in a textbook about how wine is made. But I was like, I just want to learn more. I want to learn more. And so started being a harvest volunteer at several local wineries here in the Willamette Valley and in Portland. And it was then, I mean, as soon as I got on the sorting line at several wineries, I was just like, yeah, this winemaking stuff is really fun.
Did you feel it? You felt it, didn't you? You were like,
Got the
this is
bug.
exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yep, I got, the earwigs crawling all over me. I was power washing a press, just drenched and cold and miserable. And I was like, I think that, yeah, I think I wanna make this a career. So,
This is the best day
yeah.
ever.
And then a year later, I purchased a bunch of fruit and secured a spot at a custom crush facility here in Portland. And that was in 2020, amazing time to start a brand new business. But I had a lot of free time. I mean, the
Yeah.
world was just shut down. So I was like, well, my friends are learning to make banana bread and sourdough, and I'll make wine, and we'll
Yep.
trade, and it'll be great.
I
And
love
it was.
that.
And then
Um,
I launched Flipturn in 2022. So,
Flipturn was 2022. Okay.
yeah.
Couple questions. I want to back up just a little bit. First of all, I feel like for me at least, anytime I'm among beautiful vines, or if I'm in the Applegate or in the Willamette, I too am like, I could do this because it like rubs off on you. I think
Oh,
I
no.
cannot. This is
It's
for
usually
people
a
like
few
you.
glasses in, and I'm just like, I love everything about this.
Right.
Give me more.
I look at my husband and I'm like, there's a winery for sale in the Applegate. What do you think? He's like, absolutely not. You're high. No, never.
Yep.
Leaving corporate jobs
Mhm.
through this podcast specifically, I have heard this story so much. Just tired of the 9 to 5, or wasn't really happy in my, it doesn't have to be corporate, but wasn't really happy here. I'm looking at you and your husband, I'm assuming very highly successful couple, doing the things, living in Miami. You decide to leave a corporate job. I left a news job almost 20 years there, a very consistent paycheck. I've never been so scared shitless in my whole life
Mhm.
than that moment.
Yep. Yep.
I'm assuming, I mean, you just said, yeah, we left our corporate jobs, but I'm assuming it wasn't that easy.
I mean, we had discussed it for a while, and so it definitely wasn't a spontaneous, one
Sure.
day we woke up and both my husband and I were we're really big planners. We're very thoughtful in the decisions we make. So it definitely was not an overnight decision. It took a lot of, and actually we had started talking about quitting our jobs and traveling about a year and a half before we actually did.
Okay.
So during that time, we started saving so much money and like basically just putting every additional penny that we could into our travel fund or, a little savings account. And we also decided to forego a big wedding. And so used that money and put it towards having this runway for when we did quit our jobs and weren't getting a steady paycheck coming in from either end. And yeah, I mean, but honestly, being an entrepreneur and like still out of the corporate world for, I don't know how many years it's been, but I still wake up to this day terrified and just
Hmm.
jealous of friends who have steady paychecks and being like, I'm constantly chasing down new clients or new sales or new accounts for Flipturn. And yeah, I think it's a shared feeling that so many folks have is but it also is what makes being in the wine industry and really just a small business owner all that much more rewarding is
Mm-hmm.
yeah just this the fear of the unknown but also the feeling that you get when things do go your way and you're like I got this and it's very empowering but yeah also terrifying.
Oh, yes. I mean, preach. And I prepared for my exit for like a year and a half as well.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how prepared you are. It is still really scary.
Yeah.
It's really
And then of
scary.
course during that time because you're preparing, you're talking to your friends and family about it and they're like, "Don't do it. What are you thinking?" And so
Which
yeah,
doesn't help.
yeah, it does not help at all,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Um, I think so too. You said something really interesting. I do commercial videography, production stuff on the side, MC work. When you leave a steady paycheck, and I'm jealous of people who have to be somewhere at 9. I don't really have to be anywhere at 9 every
Yeah.
single day, right? But with all of that, you have the talents, you have the things that you're able to offer other people, but you still have to chase it. It doesn't land in your lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, this whole 9 to 5, I don't remember the last day where I worked from 9 to 5. I'm like, I'm usually at my computer at 7 because I'm like,
Mm,
I need, yeah, like I'm the person keeping this going. And
yeah.
yeah,
But I will say for those people who, there's a lot of folks who are like, oh, I could never work at home. I could never just get out of bed and go to the computer. And I'm like, you have to. There's no,
yeah,
I mean, if you want things to happen, you have to check your email first thing in the morning. You cannot check your email at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
no, absolutely. And for me too, with Flipturn and going out for sales events, that requires so much social energy. But I'm like, I gotta sell my wine. I just
Mm.
need to chug some coffee and get out there. And go to the indie wine mixer and
Right.
do this. And yeah.
Yeah, you need to be at the indie wine mixer.
Mhm.
So, what is Flipturn? Explain Flipturn. Where did that name come from?
Yeah, so Flipturn, I used to be a competitive swimmer. So I swam from, gosh, when I was like 5 years old all the way through college. And so, I've always been, well, yeah, swimming's always been a huge part of my life. And I even swim now as part of this open water swimming team
Hmm.
here in Willamette. But Flipturn really came about because with Flipturn Cellars and starting this winemaking journey, I guess it was a project that I never thought I would embark on in a million years. When I was, if if I were to go back in time 10 years and you were to say like, "Hey, you're going to be making wine," I'm like, absolutely not. You're crazy. And so it was this really unexpected flip and turn in my career path in my life that never thought I would go down this path. But yeah. So anyway, so all this long story short, flip turn is that flip and turn in my career into the world of winemaking and really just diving headfirst. And so,
Mm,
fun little play on a swimming term.
so
And
good.
yeah.
It's so good. I love it. On
And
your
then,
website, it's really, I had to bring this up. On your website, I'm going to look at it right now. It said on the about, I think this is the about page. I love the welcome to the Flip Turn crew. And it's a picture of you.
I don't even know when I wrote that. It was probably, it was WordPress or I don't know when I started that
It,
website, but it's
it's,
been a while
it
since I
made me,
updated.
first of all, gorgeous picture of you doing
Oh,
your
thank
thing.
you.
But also, I just love this because it's like, here's the Flip Turn crew. It's you.
I
It's
don't
Meg.
even have a wine club. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the crew is, but it's
I
like
don't
me and my
care.
dog in my office, like,
I love it. It's so good. It's so
right.
awesome. With with all, there's wineries who that have been established and around for decades, and there's folks who are like, I'm gonna create wine and put my label on a bottle and use a custom crush facility. What do you think makes Flip Turn stand out? What do you think? Maybe it's something you've heard from customers or loyal fans. What makes Flip Turn stand out from all the other bottles on the
Yeah.
shelf?
Excellent question. I have always stayed intentionally small. And this is something I get asked all the time. People are like, do you have a tasting room? Do you want a tasting room? Are you gonna buy a vineyard? And there's always this question of, are you going to expand? And for me, I absolutely love winemaking, but I also love my digital advertising agency that I currently run with my husband. I have this wine education brand. And so I love Flipturn, but I want to keep it small. And in doing that, I have a lot of flexibility in the wines that I make. I'm not, I don't have a wine club where I have to constantly churn out a Pinot from such and such vineyard year after year. I am making wines that I personally love to drink and want to share with others, and wines that I'm really curious about making. And so there's a lot of flexibility in being a small producer and being like, you know what? I love Riesling and I want to make this cool dry style Riesling from this vineyard out in the gorge this year, and being like, I can do that. And I also to that, knowing that I am a small producer and making about 250 cases annually, I knew it would be really hard for me to stand out on the shelves with a Pinot Noir. And so I'm also a winemaker that in the valley that doesn't make a Pinot. And I always try to go with the lesser known varietals for here in Oregon, and try to stand out that way. And then I think just being woman owned, woman made, and being a one woman show, people always ask me, they're like, oh, well, who can I contact on your team? And I'm like, it's just me. And
Me.
if I'm going to a restaurant or to a bottle shop to sell my wines, like I'm fully self-distributed. So I'm the person that they will be meeting with. I'm the person at all of the events. I don't have a marketing team. I don't have a winemaker. It's me that you see. Yeah. It's so funny when I feel like when I'm talking about my business and I'm like, our team, and I'm like, the team is just me.
It's
But
okay. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
There's something, I think there's something to be said to sometimes turn the me into our, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That gives you so much freedom.
It does, and I love it.
And I think when you have a taste of that, it's really hard to make those certain sacrifices and grow. People are like, oh, well, you should, but it's like, but what would you be sacrificing if you had a tasting room, or if you owned a vineyard, or if you had a facility? What would you be sacrificing? You know?
Yeah. And my day job, which is my digital advertising agency, I love that business that I also own. And so I actually really enjoy being able to work on two entirely separate businesses. My ad agency has me on Zoom meetings and has me at my computer all the time, whereas winemaking is this total creative outlet where unless, I'm doing some admin stuff for the business, like I'm in the winery. Yeah. It is physical. I'm working with my hands. I'm using this totally separate side of my brain. And I love the juxtaposition of the two. And if I were to go full time into winemaking, I wouldn't be able to do my ad agency. If I was doing full time on my ad agency, I wouldn't be able to make wine. And so I love, especially at this point in my career, just the ability to work different sides of my brain, be creative, but I don't know. I love being able to manage both and not feel the pressure to, make this a huge winery with, national distribution, and just keep it tiny, keep it scrappy, and keep it something that I love waking up and doing every day.
For sure. When it becomes something that you have to do, ugh, no, thank you. It's so funny. You were chatting earlier and I wrote down type A and then I wrote down creative.
Type A minus.
Well, type A meaning you're probably highly organized. You've got a planner, you've got a digital planner, you have lists,
all the lists.
But there's the creative outlet that you really love and you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's there's a lot of people I've interviewed on this podcast that are exactly that, very type A and very creative, and probably why they're so successful.
Yeah. And you have to be pretty type A to make wine. I mean, just being in the cellar and keeping a clean environment, there's a level of meticulousness that comes with that. And also, like, I've met so many winemakers that come from an engineering background, and it makes total sense because you do have to just kind of have this wiring to your brain that, is very creative and is willing to take risks and think outside the box when it comes to crafting that ideal wine that you want to put on the shelves. But there has to be a plan in place, and there has to be cellar protocol for how to clean things to keep your product tasting delicious.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of former engineers in Southern Oregon, and I'm like, y'all just like the rows. You like the rows of the vines. It's very organized and neat for you. But yeah, I get it. It makes sense. So I met you at Indie Wine Mixer. And for those who know me,
which one was it? Because I've seen you at a bunch. You're such a good supporter. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you. This was the first Indie Wine Mixer in Southern Oregon.
Yeah.
That was
the Southern Oregon one is so fun. I mean, they all are, but Southern Oregon, it's really exciting.
That was last year. And for those listening, if you've never heard of the Indie Wine Mixer, I'll put a link in to this episode with Meg, because it is such a great way to meet some of my favorite winemakers, those small production teams, the scrappy, just doing all of the things, very independent. Y'all are just some of my favorite people because you want it. You want it really bad.
Yep. And also at that event, I mean, in order to participate in Indie Wine Mixer, you can't just send someone to rep your brand. Eric wants the winemakers right there talking to the customers and being the face of the brand. And I think that that's so important. And that I love that he has made that a priority, where it's like, if you're going to sign up for this event, you're going to be the person at that table representing your your winery, because this is what being indie is all about.
Yeah. And I remember when I was first introduced to wine here in Southern Oregon, I would go around and I would often meet the winemakers because they were there busy, like doing things and, hey, come on back. Let me show you what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I got hooked, because I was like, this is incredible. That connection.
It's a whole different side of winemaking than, going to a major winery or a place down in Napa where you never get to see the behind the curtain. And so the Indie Wine Mixer is just such a wonderful event. We actually have the Thanksgiving one coming up in McMinnville. That's going to be on the 23rd of November. But yeah, and also I remember when I met you last year at the first Indie Wine Mixer in Southern Oregon, Carmen and Joe of Sound and Vision, that's where the Indie Wine Mixer was located, but they put me right next to the speaker.
Yep.
And so I think it was a 6-hour event, and I was screaming to try when I was talking to customers in order for them to hear me over the music. I was screaming at folks. And so I think an hour in, I just completely lost my voice. And it was, I don't know when I chatted with you, but it was
before that.
Yeah, it was a tough day, but it was wonderful. And
man. Yeah.
It was such a fun experience. But yeah, my voice was shot that day.
Yeah, you were right there by kind of the opening where everyone for the most part was coming in, and the speaker was right there.
We made the best use of the space. I mean, they put a bunch of us in, and it was a sold out event. And so,
yeah. And this year's event was new venue, which I love the venue where it was at this year. It was perfect.
It was air conditioned, which was great for being, end of August in Southern Oregon.
But I was there with my camera, behind my camera, shooting all the things. Again, my mission in this world is to promote our wine industry and educate people and tell the stories of people just like you and connect those with people who don't know you or don't know the stories. I personally feel, this is my soapbox, I've said this twice today, if more people were connected to the stories behind the bottle, I think at least the Oregon wine industry would look a lot different. I really do.
Yeah. And I love the work that you've been doing, and I love seeing your face at all of these smaller events. And
Well, thank you.
Support your
but
mission.
I know you pour at a lot of events. I know you're hustling. You're out there. What's the number one question you get? You may have already answered this, where people are like,
number one question,
do you work in the tasting room?
When they come up to my,
man. Or do you even have one? You may not even have one.
No, there's definitely some doozies that I get asked. I always have the question, and maybe I do a bad job at introducing myself, but I constantly get asked, oh, so tell me about the winemaker. And I'm like, I thought I just said it, but like, I'm the one anyway. So I think that there's always the notion that that Flipturn is bigger. And I'm like, no, I'm very tiny. And it's always, do you have a tasting room? Do you have a vineyard? And I think a lot of people don't realize that small producers purchase from independent vineyards, and that they're like, tell me how that works. And I'm like, well, I figure out a pick date with the vineyard team. I rent a U-Haul truck or a Penske truck, and I drive it out on the day of harvest. I pick up fruit bright and early in the morning. I truck it back. That's the most terrifying drive of my life. And so I think they're like, how does this work? What do you mean you pick fruit up from a vineyard? And it's like, yeah, so I don't know. Yeah. So just, I think the general curiosity of what a small production winery, how it's different than a large facility. And so, yeah, but some funny questions.
You're just a little woman. How can you manage to do any of this stuff?
Well, I've gotten some of those questions too. I try to just like,
yeah, you have to just let it. It's like a gnat or a mosquito. You just have to swat it away. Well, explain that briefly to me, because you source grapes. You're very particular in where you get grapes. And you're right. I think there is a ginormous misconception. You don't have to own a vineyard to be a winemaker.
No. Yeah, I think that that is what's really fun about being a small
Yeah.
producer and being able to just meet new people in the industry and find what it is that they're growing, how their what their farming practices are and just building those relationships. And I really want to, now that I'm a few years into this and I've worked with some incredible vineyards and some incredible vineyard management teams, I do want to start setting up recurring contracts with vineyards. But I think especially as I was really young in this process, I was really enjoying just being able to build those relationships with different places, different AVAs, seeing what kind of fruit came out of the gorge versus the Willamette versus Eastern Washington. And yeah, so I think that that's something that's really special about being an urban winemaker where you have to go buy fruit, you have to go and source your fruit from outside the city and being like, oh, well, I'm really curious. So, for example, I'm about to release a Sangiovese from the Rocks District out in the Walla Walla region, but that little tiny pocket on the Oregon side. And that was something that I was so curious to make a Sangiovese, but let alone, from Eastern Oregon where, it's a hot, dry
Hot,
climate.
dry. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make a food-friendly light body. And so it's just it's been really rewarding working with these different vineyards and being able to be selective about farming practices and the teams that you're working with and the owners of that land. And yeah.
So much intent. There's so much intent and thought that goes into it. I love it. I'm actually going to write that down. Hold on, so I don't forget. um, so yeah, kudos to you for making the decisions to make Flipturn stand out and be different. I think it could be super simple for you to just make Pinot and Chard, Pinot and Chard, Pinot and Chard.
And I mean, here's the thing. I constantly get asked by people like, why don't you make a Pinot? And I'm like, do not get me wrong. I love Pinot.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite varietals. It's so food friendly. So
Mm-hmm.
it fits into my brand. And maybe someday I will make it, but I don't know. I feel like I have ADHD when it comes to making wine. I'm like, oh, I want to try this grape. And you got some Gruner from this vineyard, like sign me up. Yeah, I'm just still I'm still very early in the winemaking
Mm-hmm.
business that I'm just so hungry, curious, all the above. And I just love trying different varietals and different wine styles and seeing what resonates the most with my customers and then also what brings me the most joy in this because at the end of the day that's
Yeah.
why I got into wine is because of this passion and I want to make sure that it's always still part of my brand.
Perfect. That's perfect. I want to wrap up a little bit and get to the final three, but you kind of already answered this. What's coming up? Is Sangiovese what's on the horizon?
Yeah, so I'm just about to release my 2023 Sangiovese from the Rocks District. It's actually really light bodied. It's 12.9 ABV. It almost looks like a dark rosé. I mean, it is beautiful, very rustic in its nature. And then I also have a Viognier from the Willamette Valley that I'm releasing coming up, which again, also just really excited for. I feel like people are always asking for Viognier, and I just want to give the people what they want.
Yes.
And then a Syrah that's
Mm.
I made a Syrah in my first year, and so I was really excited to revisit Syrah for my fifth year of winemaking, and got the Syrah from a place right past Hood River in the Dalles that I'm excited about because my previous Syrah was from Eastern Washington, and so kind of comparing the two and getting my customers having them kind of taste the difference between an
Yeah.
Eastern Washington and more of a cool climate Syrah but yeah, those are my three wines that I have coming out, and then we'll see kind of what next year brings and go from there. But
Fun.
always plain.
Where's the best place people, if they want to buy your wine, can they buy it online from you?
They can buy online from me, yes. So I ship to most states through Vino Shipper.
Hmm.
And then I also do free local delivery and pickup here within the Portland metro. And also events. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to sign up for my newsletter, which is just right on my homepage of my website. And for that, I send out, monthly emails to folks letting people know where I'm going to be and doing pop-ups and tastings. And then as far as bottle shops, 1856 or at Labora, there's a bunch of them, the Portland wine bottle shop. Anyway,
Yeah.
so there's a lot, and it's on my website. I have a
Mm.
whole list of all the different bottle shops and places that have my wine.
Yes, I can concur with that. It says where you can find Flipturn custom
Yep.
wine for your celebration right here. So yeah, it's all on the website. I love that. Um, will you be at Indie Wine Mixer in Southern Oregon next year?
I always want to be at Sunday
Okay.
Indiana Wine Mixer in Southern Oregon. So yes, I mean they haven't done any of the
Yeah,
applications yet for that one, but I hope I am going to be a part of it.
I'm always thinking about if there's a super fun event. I'm like, so, because again, I'm recording a whole bunch of content. I'm like, so I got all this great stuff for next year. And then I'm like, wait, are we doing this next year? Not we, you. Are you guys doing this next year? Because I have all this stuff.
You're
Um,
manifesting it. Yeah.
I'm always looking to the next event, the next
Yeah.
one, the sequel, the whatever. Yeah,
But that one's a really great one,
it is.
especially for the folks coming down coming down to Southern Oregon from the valley, and
Yeah.
because it allows us to meet a whole different, because I don't know. So working in Portland and in the valley, I see the same people over and
Mhm.
over at a lot of these festivals and events. And so it's just great seeing fresh faces in Southern Oregon and getting to meet new customers and new potential retailers,
Yeah.
and also the vibes there are just really, really fun for that event.
That's awesome. Well, I hope it happens next year. Carmen and Joe and Eric, make it happen.
They make a party for sure.
Yes, yes, they do. All right, ma'am. I'm gonna wrap up and get to the final three. Best advice you've ever been given.
I don't remember which winemaker gave me this advice. It was probably Kevin Green of Le Rondonnée, but the advice was just take everything one day at a time. And I think that was so important for me because I was always thinking 50 steps ahead. And then I was getting really anxious and waking up at like 3 in the morning, thinking about like, when am I going to get my grapes? And then when am I going to bottle this wine? And what about my next custom crush facility? And by him being like, you need to take it one day at a time and just do things in little baby steps, that has made all of this much more tangible
Mm-hmm.
and achievable. It's just being like, I got this and I'm going to do a little. Yeah. So I would say that's the best piece of advice I've gotten.
It's so true. I love what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. My husband says that to me.
I
It's
haven't heard
actually,
that one.
it's a, it's not, I don't think it's like a Chinese proverb, but it's something like that. I actually said it at a land conservation event I was emceeing, and there was this like gasp from the audience, and I'm like, no, 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 no. It's just a proverb. It's just a
Yep. Yep. We're not actually eating elephants, but yeah.
metaphor.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, it's this idea that you have something super ginormous in front of you, and how do you tackle it? One day at a time, one piece at a time, one task at a time.
And that's something that is good advice, just at any,
Mm-hmm.
business that you're running or in your
Mm-hmm.
personal life, all the things. But it especially was helpful for me in the wine world where I came with no winemaking experience. And so this
Mm-hmm.
fire hose of information was just very overwhelming in the beginning, and just being able to break it down into small chunks eased a lot of that imposter syndrome and the fear of failure and the feeling of just being frozen in all of
Mm-hmm.
this. So
Totally. What's your happy place?
the British Virgin Islands. So as a kid, on the East Coast, the Caribbean was kind of like the
Yeah.
Hawaii for the West Coast. And so that's always where we would do kind of like a once a year family vacation. And so that was just kind of my growing up, just like this place that I it was just like little sanctuary for me. And my husband and I went there for our honeymoon, and we just went back there for our 15-year wedding anniversary this past year. And I haven't been to the Caribbean since we moved out to the West Coast 10 years ago or so. And so all this being said, we went there this past April, and I was like, oh my God, yes, I needed this. But without a doubt, the Virgin Islands, because I scuba dive,
Mm.
I love swimming.
Yeah.
and the snorkeling, oh my, it's just so fun out there. I love Hawaii. I love going to Mexico, but the Caribbean for me just hits different. So
Perfect. That's your spot. That's your place. And all things food and drink. What do you crave? What always sounds good?
I mean, I crave everything. I think that's why I got into wine is because I love food and all types. But I would say if it is just like me on the couch watching Netflix and my dog Noodles,
Oh,
it's gonna be pizza, and it's gonna be a bottle of Nebbiolo. So those,
right.
I know,
I am right there. Nebbiolo and pizza, just like mwah.
just hit anything really Italian red wine, but Nebbiolo in particular, yeah. And then also being in Portland, Portland is such an exquisite pizza city, and so there are some
Yeah,
great spots right nearby that Postmates,
really good.
and their
What kind of dog is Noodles?
golden retriever.
A golden.
And
Oh,
the name fits him so well. So Noodles is just floppy. He wiggles his butt. His tail is all, he's a noodle. He's just a big ball of love, an 80-pound ball of love.
oh,
But
they're the best. I have 140. No, he's lost weight. 125-pound Italian Mastiff.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
he's
I love big
big.
dogs.
Yeah,
Yep.
just big old face. Just big. He's all face. He's all face and
Yep.
butt.
Squishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not ask you this. I told you I'm the worst. I'm so obnoxiously curious. You said your in-laws are Italian?
A quarter Italian, but yes.
Still. Oh,
But
still.
still, that was the name, Rulli. And
Yeah, yeah. What do they just love this winemaking
oh yeah.
daughter-in-law they have?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I would say my father-in-law is my biggest customer.
Mm,
He currently lives in Arizona and just, I mean, yeah, he's definitely by far my best customer and like just so excited whenever I release a new wine and always will gift my wine to their friends and family. And so they've been huge supporters in all of this, which I think makes everything better because I've encountered so much imposter syndrome in this industry, just
mm,
not having any viticulture or enology education, no formal training, never stepping foot in a cellar before buying a bunch of fruit and just being like, I'll figure this out.
yeah.
So having a supportive family, supportive friends, I think has saved me in all of this.
Sure. No, I get it. Oh, believe me, I get it. On social, how can people find you?
Follow me at Flipturn Cellars is my Instagram, and then also with Barrel Dork, it's just at Barrel Dork, and both are very kind of like catchy, memorable names, and
Very.
hopefully people know how to spell both of those. But if not, we'll put it in the show notes, and yeah,
I love it. Well, Meg Rulli, I hope you know you have a big, huge fan in Southern Oregon in me. I'm always rooting for you. Anytime I go to the Indie Wine Mixer, if I know you're going to be there, you're like the first stop. I want to see you, say hi to you, taste what you've got.
yeah.
I think you're so incredibly talented. And beyond that, you're just a joy. This has not felt like an interview whatsoever. I feel like I'm
Good chat.
catching up with my pal Meg.
Well, I'm so glad we were finally able to do it because I know the last year or two we've just been
Yeah.
chatting and getting this on the book. So it's
a
great
year in the making, but we finally did it. But yes, thank you for sharing all the things with me today. And I am cheering you on all the time.
you, Trish. And I'll hopefully see you at the next Indie Wine Mixer in the South. Otherwise, just come up and
I will.
join the Thanksgiving one or whenever. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on it.
I know it's a long drive, but
Nah, not
there
if
will be wine at the end of the road.
that's what I was just gonna say. If there's wine at the end of the tunnel, then it's all good. You've been listening to Hungry for More, an Epicurean's Dilemma with me, Trish Close. You can watch this podcast and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Just search Hungry for More, an Epicurean's Dilemma. You can also listen and subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts.